Hi from the future. Well, I'll introduce myself in a second. You probably know I'm Ty. We've got Rohan here. The whole intro is coming. We recorded a whole podcast about Bucks free agency in which we said Serge Ibaka is probably going to be a full-time content creator this season. And 10, 15 minutes after we finish recording?
Something like that.
The Bucks signed Serge Ibaka. So we're not going to take that part out. We're not cowards. You can laugh at us saying Serge is gone. You can laugh at Papagiannis speculation, which is probably dead now. We'll get there later as well. But it's apparently Serge Ibaka is back, according to Shams Charania, on a 1-year deal. I think we're pretty safe to assume it's going to be the minimum, although it could be more because the Bucks do have his early bird rights. What are your immediate thoughts on Serge Ibaka returning to the Milwaukee Bucks?
Why? I'm not like super upset about it, but also why? He must love the Bucks, man.
I think at least 50% of this has to be Serge wanting to get Giannis on how hungry are you?
Oh my goodness, yes. I'm fully on board with the signing now.
Yeah.
Fully on board.
I don't know. I mean, listen, for the same reasons that we'll talk about later, that Papagiannis was fine. Like, he's a backup big that you can play in the regular season, right? Like, I think Serge is fine from that regard. I don't think he's anything more than that. He is like their regular season Brook drop coverage insurance policy. If you want to give Brook a day off or something like that, like Serge is a fine guy to step in and just be a big body, good culture guy, which we did say about Serge. I don't think we ragged on him too much, but just at this point in free agency, with not that many teams valuing centers, just didn't seem like he was going to be on a roster. And here come the Bucks signing him, which I think it's kind of fascinating.
It is very, very interesting. They have now brought back every single one of their free agents outside of Jordan Nwora.
Yep, who is still restricted as far as we know.
Still, news is going to drop once we wrap this segment up. And then we're going to have to come back.
It's going to be a 2-hour podcast. It's an original hour and then 25-minute additional parts that we stitch on.
Yep, that's what's going to happen. But there's no room for Jordan Nwora officially?
So here's the thing. They're up to 16, but without Nwora, with the 2 non-guaranteed / partially guaranteed guys. So if Nwora is brought back, if he signs the qualifying offer, if he signs a different contract, they would have to release both Tucker and Vildoza or make other moves. And even if they cut both, they'd be at 15, which we did not expect to see this year. We never expect it. We expect them to be at 14 because that's the legal lowest you can have, and it saves, at this point, pretty significant luxury tax money. I mean, the Bucks still signing guys is kind of wild to me. We kind of thought they'd mostly be done unless something, I mean, people like Isaiah Roby, right? Like there's some interesting flyers probably the Bucks won't go after, but here they are signing Serge Ibaka. If the Papagiannis thing still happens, that'll be really fascinating. But I do think there's a part later on where we talk about a Hill trade, a consolidation trade. Maybe it's going to be earlier than we thought because this roster is just like pretty jam-packed.
It is. It's full as it can be. Credit to the owners, credit to the organization.
Well, right now it's potentially fuller.
Yeah, you have to cut one of Tucker or Vildoza.
Or make a trade. Something has to happen now. We are past the point of, they can just go into the year. Like if they want to, they can. Literally, there has to be some sort of a move. And actually, if you count like pulling a qualifying offer, there has to be 2 moves because now we are 2 over. We would be at 17 with Jordan Nwora. So either Nwora's not back, which I think everyone expected at first, but they tendered the qualifying offer. He was in Greece. We'll see. Or some of these non-guaranteed guys or some other trade. So we could very well be doing another addendum to this podcast at some point, but it certainly seems like, or we know now, in the coming weeks, we will have more Bucks news, if it's minor or not, but something else is going to happen now.
Signing some contracts to go get Kevin Durant? Question mark?
That's my mentions right now. Kevin Durant, you are a Buck. Hey, I'm all for it if Kevin Durant wants to be a Buck. Despite slandering his first-round performance against the Celtics, I'm very much here for
later on. A lot of stuff coming. Oh, a lot of stuff. People
coming.
are going to love this Serge.
Real quick on Serge. We haven't talked about him himself much. I mean, are you with me in just like a solid backup big man?
Yeah,
stretchy.
For sure.
Yeah.
Exactly what you want. Like, he's way, way overqualified. I don't know at this point. He has been overqualified at points in his career for this role. Right now, what we saw last season was not anything close to what we think Serge Ibaka could be capable of, potentially.
Yeah.
Like, we'll see what happens at this point. Yeah, I think it's fine. There's your backup big. If he's fine, I mean, like, this is great for Serge. He doesn't have to play that much. He can be a good content guy, film more How Hungry Are You episodes, bring some content for us. Like,
yeah,
this is awesome. This could work out really well.
Yeah, I think it's largely fine. It will be
get some garbage time post-ups.
It will suck if, I don't know. I'll feel a little bad if Tucker and or Vildoza loses spots for Serge Ibaka, where, there's really not much upside there. But we think we've all agreed by now the Bucks do need a backup big man, and Serge is fine. Not exciting.
He's fine. He's serviceable.
You think he's better than Papagiannis at this point?
Having not watched Papagiannis, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think it's decisive either way. I think I would have been more excited with Papagiannis, but it's probably just
Serge
the mystery
Ibaka's probably
box.
the more reliable.
Yeah,
option.
Yeah.
Like he's a guy. He's an experienced guy, champion, all that fun stuff. Like he's still a great vet.
Yeah. And he probably
Fantastic
is better than he
guy.
looked, as you said.
Yes, for sure. He had been dealing with some back issues in the past. Let's see, like a full offseason with the Bucks medical staff.
It's a good point.
Could work wonders for Serge.
Yeah, although I don't know how much he's all over the place. I don't know how much he'll be in Milwaukee this offseason.
Let's check his Instagram right now. What country is Serge Ibaka?
They're gonna
see how fast I can find.
They're gonna have to send Suki Hobson to find him. It's gonna be like Carmen San Diego. It's same outfit too. Where in the world is Serge Ibaka?
I don't even know where this is, man. I think he's in France.
That sounds right.
What is this? What is he? Yeah, he's in Paris as of a week ago, actually. So he might be somewhere else.
Could be back in Milwaukee, ready to sign. Who knows? All right, I think that's all we've got. We've got to wrap this up quick before the next bomb comes.
Enjoy the episode, everyone.
Yeah. Goodbye from the future. Hey there. Welcome to the Eurostep, a Milwaukee Bucks podcast, proudly a part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network and the Eurostep Podcast Network. I am Ty Windisch, one of your hosts, and I'm joined as always by the world-traveling Rohan Katti. Rohan, how's it going?
I'm doing well. Happy to be talking free agency still. It's been an exciting few days.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. Okay, I'm done singing now. You sang before I sang. We're done. Everyone turned off the pod, so now we can say whatever we want.
No, everyone's going to keep listening to it because they're subscribed wherever they're listening. Their podcast platform of choice, YouTube, whatever. Check out gspn.info for all our links. But no, it is the most wonderful time of the year, Ty. Aside from the NBA playoffs, because that's still my favorite.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, the first weekend of free agency is in the books. A lot of deals have been signed. There's a few dominoes, some big dominoes that are still left to fall. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But yeah, Ty, how have you felt about this weekend so far in terms of free agency?
Pretty good. A couple of notes for listeners. One, the big dominoes, KD and Kyrie. We're going to talk about that later in this episode just because KD loves to ruin the 4th day of July every 6 years. So that could drop late. If it drops later on our pod here, we'll obviously cover it and talk about where he goes. Otherwise, we'll speculate and talk about potential options and potential ways that could play out. But we're going to do that at the end, just in case it gets out of date very quickly. So that will be covered later. And second, it's only the most wonderful time of the year because of NBA free agency. Maybe when women get their reproductive rights back across the country, we can talk about other reasons this day might be wonderful. Right now, I'm not really feeling it. Okay, basketball, free agency. I think we have to start with Joe Ingles, just because the last time the listening public heard from you, Rohan, you were flabbergasted, disgusted, led astray, all the Stephen A words. You were all of the Stephen A words at Joe Ingles signing a 1 year, according to SpotTrack, $6.479 million contract. I can talk. It's not early at all. I want your updated thoughts. And then of course I will weigh in as Adam said, took the night off. I was on the playback for like an hour, but I took the night off to go watch the Timber Rattlers.
Did you see their Devin Williams bobblehead?
I did. I'm really sad I didn't get one of those Devin Williams quote unquote bobbleheads.
Totally Devin Williams. No reason to believe it's not Devin Williams. But Joe Ingles. Listen, okay, I'll start off up front and say I'm less super angry about this contract. And just for context, we had been live. We had been on camera doing stuff for like 6 hours at that point straight.
That's fair to note.
That does sort of give some light to why I was so fired up about things. Do I still think it's a big risk? Yes. Do I still think that there's potentially better players you could have gotten maybe for that contract? Yes. Do I think it's totally bad? No. I think that's fair. Is that fair?
I think I'm a little higher on it still. I think, and we're calling this pod like how have the Bucks done in free agency so far. Part of that is we have more context. So many deals were leaked in the first 2 seconds of free agency, and really, I think pretty much all the Bucks deals in the first hour, except for one that hasn't happened yet that we'll talk about a little later. But pretty much all of them were immediate. I think Bobby Portis came first. Jevon Carter, Wes Matthews were pretty much soon after. And then Ingles was not long after that. So we didn't know. I mean, news is flying around. Everything is incomplete. We don't know full details. So at this point, we're sitting there like, oh man, how many guys did they pass up the opportunity to get for that same amount? And I think going through some of those is instructive here. Just to, I don't want to say not important, but I think I just kind of realized over the weekend that like this free agency just wasn't that great of an opportunity for the Bucks or a lot of these teams. You look at a lot of these teams, unless you're making one of these insane trades, like the best player you're bringing in is like a player who you're not that I mean, the Dallas Mavericks spent the most money they could on JaVale McGee, right? Like the Detroit Pistons went out with all their cap space and got Marvin Bagley for $37 million. And that's not to say just because, other teams didn't sign good players that the Bucks should be allowed to not sign good players themselves. But I just think like Gary Harris went for more than the Bucks could have paid. I think one guy that was a little painful was Otto Porter for pretty much the same amount. But I think he wanted to go play in Toronto is the reporting. I think his wife is from there. And that was a part of his decision.
I don't know. That's not the reputation they have. Lee, go ahead.
Listen, I don't know.
Twitter, how are you doing?
Oh boy, you just gotta go kick the.
We're already there, Ty.
I know. But like, I don't know. I just think you look around, and I just think there were a lot of the guys we wanted went for more money, and I think the only couple of guys who went for at or less than the TPMLE were like Otto Porter, who I think there was some Raptor stuff weighing in there for sure. Bruce Brown, who, Bruce Brown also has said fit was a big part. I think the Nuggets make more sense for him than the Bucks, quite honestly. Also, I think he doesn't like the Bucks very much based on everything that he's said, and all that stuff doesn't always mean too much. But I do think, would Bruce Brown have been fun? Yes. I do wonder how real is that shooting. It'll probably look better than it is now that he's in Denver, which was a big part of the reason he signed there. But I don't know. I'd like to hear your thoughts, but I look around the league and I just don't see that many, if any, deals where I go, oh, I'm really sick they got Ingles over that guy. It just seems like they were priced out of a lot. I think Thad Young was a guy you liked who went for more. Tyus Jones
not
got
that much more
than Ingles.
Yeah, I know, but it's not that much more. Like
Tyus Jones gets $30 million over 2 years, which the Bucks aren't coming close. So go ahead. What are your thoughts on just the market in general?
I think the market, that is fair. Like the market does dictate like, hey, maybe this Joe Ingles deal isn't as bad as I initially thought it would be. Do I still think, hey, could you get him on maybe less than the entirety of the TPMLE? Maybe. I don't know the specifics of the situation, if they were bidding against anyone. We don't know. We're not privy to those details. But it's just can you not try and convince one of Otto or Thad to come to the Bucks? you probably you could. The Bucks are a better team. Like all the things the Bucks have been touting over the last couple of years is like, hey, we want people to come play for a contender. The Raptors are not a contender as currently constructed.
Yeah, I was gonna say we'll see on that one.
As currently constructed, they are not a contender. So it's just like, how are you always getting these guys if you're the Bucks and you claim to be like, hey, we want to convince players to come here. So do it. Can you do it, please? Like, I don't know. There's a little bit of that. It's like there shouldn't always automatically be the conceit like, hey, these guys want to play for Toronto instead of Milwaukee. Like, come on. Like, I feel like it's fair to criticize that a little bit. But you're right. The players available at like the price they got Joe Ingles. Maybe Joe Ingles isn't that bad.
The other part of it too, I really like that that it's a 1-year deal because of the injury concerns and Joe Ingles coming off of a torn ACL. The latest from ESPN was that he's hoping to be back by mid-December, which actually would not be too bad. I think there were concerns it could be longer. Mid-December is like a month and a half, 2 months into the season. That's if he's back and ready to play by mid-December, that's honestly pretty solid, I think. But there's almost no downside to it being a 1-year deal for the Bucks. I guess the downside is he could leave and sign somewhere else, but unless he has a truly amazing season, which would be great, he kind of ends up in the same situation where he's another year older and teams, there's probably not going to be that much cap space again next year. Teams are having to use these exceptions, except for the Bucks, who with non-Bird, which we know is a pretty limited spending tool, it still lets you do like 10% more, I think, than the last contract, which means if everything goes well, the Bucks would be sitting there ready to pay him like $7 million starting the next season off the gate. So there's the ability to keep Ingles without being tied down to him for multiple years, which I think to me feels like a lesson learned from the DJ Augustine contract. It would also be a lot easier to dump him in a trade. I mean, $6.5 million.
But the thing is, like, there's a chance like mid-December is better than initial projections, but like, what if it's longer? We know the Bucks, they're very cautious with their guys. Yeah. What if it extends past the trade deadline?
But he's expiring contract. That's why you do 1 year. If he's Ingles. Go ahead.
It's like, then why sign him if you're going to trade him before he even plays a second for you?
Well, I'm talking. This is downside. This is like risk prevention. This is not the upside of the contract. This is minimizing the downside. I'm talking about this is why you do 1 year versus 3 years, because when you're getting rid of DJ Augustine, still unsigned now on a 3-year deal, it's going to cost you something. Whereas, like we saw this with Ingles this last year with Ricky Rubio, teams like if you're trading to get a good player on a kind of bad team, teams don't really care if they have to take a guy who's not currently playing, who's on an expiring deal. It's just like it makes the money work. Whatever, we'll send him home.
Danny Green and DeAnthony Melton.
Exactly. Like that's. I'm not saying like it's a great signing because they can get off of him easy. I'm saying I think the Bucks minimize their risk here, and if it goes really unwell, it just won't matter at all going forward, and it's just a tradable salary spot. And if it goes well, then you get an impact player on a pretty affordable contract. And that's what Ingles has been with the Jazz. I mean, we'll see how he looks coming back. Obviously, there's a lot of question marks there, but a good defender, a good shooter, a very good playmaker. And I do think you're looking for guys who can dribble. That is certainly Ingles. And you would hope, even if the defense does take a bit of a hit here for him, that the Bucks can make up for that by having a lot of excellent defenders around him, which certainly was not the case in Utah. He had one excellent defender behind him. That's about it. And 2, that the playmaking can make up for it. And having a guy who he gets kicked out the ball when he's out there with the big 3, and he can break down the defense and make a nice pass. Like, Bucks don't have too many guys like that, especially with George Hill, really just up in the air right now. So I think the upside is you get a very good player for this playoff run. The downside is, it didn't work, whatever. We'll just move off of him. We have another tradable contract that we can trade super easily, and we have no long-term risk if it goes really wrong. So that was my read. I know on free agency night, you were really upset about Lonnie Walker. I don't get the Lonnie Walker hype.
There's a lot of upside there.
There is, yeah.
You have the potential to add to a core.
Yeah, you do have I just, my thoughts on Beauchamp with this, though, is I just don't think you're going to be able to develop multiple non-shooting perimeter players at the same time, which maybe is me being too low on the Bucks development, but waves arms at all the second-round picks who have come and gone and accomplished virtually nothing outside of Brogdon, who obviously was good from the jump.
Dante? Could you have brought Dante back?
Would you have rather had Dante than Ingles? Actually, I don't think you could. One, I don't know if Dante was eager for that reconciliation. Maybe.
No, I don't think it would happen. And I honestly don't. I would rather have Joe Ingles.
Yeah, I would too. Here's the thing. I told you I have a galaxy brain theory on this.
Oh, yes.
So I think the Bucks have assembled a Thanos glove of wings for Beauchamp's development. Because I think you look at Chris Middleton, who's, I think, all around, we would say, right? Started as a 3-and-D guy, added some playmaking, some juice off the bounce. But he's like your star all-around wing. Wes Matthews is all defense. And then you have Joe Ingles, who is like offensively minded, probably the best, off the dribble playmaker of all those guys, the best dribbler, the best pick and roll handler, I think, of all those guys. Chris is good. I think Ingles, when healthy, is better. And a good shooter as well. Another guy to learn from. You have Pat Connaughton, who is like the athletic-y wing, who's like a 3-and-D guy who now can get to the basket. That is, and I tweeted this at some point, but there's been so much that's happened. I want to just revisit it as part of this convo. That is like an awesome group of vets for MarJon Beauchamp to be learning from. And I do think, I don't think it's the whole reason you bring in a Joe Ingles, but I don't think it hurts to say, let's bring in a vet as opposed to another young guy who's kind of going to be, even if it's not like a bad vibe thing, like basically competing for the same spot of like the developmental wing, right? Let's avoid that situation. Just say, here's another vet you can learn from. And you're just surrounded by, and obviously there's Giannis, who I don't even count as a wing. Giannis is a Giannis, and there's Thanasis.
I don't even think you can learn a lot from Giannis.
Yeah, I know. Giannis is like, have you considered just like going through everyone and dunking? And Beauchamp's like, yeah, I wish, man. But a lot of high character guys, we know that, and just a lot of vets who have been around this league who he can learn from. And I do think, even if he's not going to play that much early on, especially after Ingles does get healthy, hopefully, knock on wood, this is a great situation for Beauchamp's rookie year, especially given he's basically at the opposite, right? Like he's been on 4 high schools, a JUCO team, a strength training program, and the Ignite team with like 2 vets and a bunch of other young guys. This is kind of the opposite. I think it's going to be really good for him.
That is a very good point. He is in a perfect spot in terms of development. All the quotes coming out are just, it's very encouraging that he just wants to be like a sponge in terms of being able to learn. Have the Bucks even released their summer league roster yet?
No, they haven't. They also haven't signed him yet, which is a little, people are raising the old eyes because there was, I think Keith Smith put out a tweet. These are all the teams not yet to sign their picks, which could be a trade thing. I would be stunned. I would be stunned. I would be too. I like the theory better that Jon Horst got all his work done right away on Thursday and then just took a vacation and hasn't gotten back yet. That's my preferred theory because the Bucks haven't really done anything since that first hour or two. But yeah, he's still technically unsigned, which just sign him.
It looks like he's getting prepared to play summer league.
Yeah, I there's no signs except for that to think that anything is up. I think they'll sign him pretty soon. Unless the Bucks go and get KD, which, again, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. But no, Beauchamp does have a lot of good players, a lot of different archetypes to learn from, take from. So that I hope that theory of yours is true, because that'd just be awesome. And it's just fueling my Beauchamp.
The hype is crazy.
The hype is insane. People hated me. People hated me for wanting him. Now look where we are.
Yeah, that Jesus meme. They hated Rohan because he told the truth. And then the next bubble is MarJon Beauchamp's going to be a stud.
Yes. That's the comparison that should be being made. Me and Jesus.
Couple of brown guys.
Yep, exactly. But the Joe Ingles contract, I'm feeling better about.
It's fine. I feel like, right? It's fine. I'm not over the moon, but I think it's fine.
It's okay.
I will say, I think it's a pretty small % chance. If he comes back and looks quite good, it's going to look awesome.
There's a very, very high upside.
Yeah, I mean, like, prime Ingles, like, that could be the guy who is the 5th starter by playoff time. I wouldn't expect that, but if he looks like he used to look, he is a very good fit.
He was coming off the bench in Utah anyway, though.
He was. Yeah, I know. Listen, he wasn't looking great his last year or so, but I don't think many people were looking great in Utah, given a lot of things. I think a much smaller role on both ends could be good for him. But we'll see.
The 5th starter tie is still in Utah.
I'm not going to do a Donovan Mitchell thing with you.
Who said Donovan Mitchell?
Who else?
Okay, it's
Are you a big Malik Beasley guy?
No, absolutely
no.
not.
Yeah, no.
No. Why'd you go for Beasley? Why not Conley?
Oh, I kind of forgot, honestly.
Freaking Malik Beasley. I mean, like the gap between him and Mike Conley is shrinking.
Yeah, that's the problem for Mike. Let's talk about the guys the Bucks brought back, which I do think is probably, and we did it too, we're nearly 20 minutes into this episode and we haven't talked about any of these guys yet, but probably being a little overshadowed. I think maybe there were some people who just were like all along, yeah, they're bringing everybody back, they're running it back, no question. I wasn't 100% convinced. I mean, there was certainly the fear of losing a Wes Matthews again, losing a Jevon Carter, or, of course, losing Bobby Portis, either if the Bucks didn't want to give him the full bag, or if Detroit had its head on straight and went after Bobby Portis instead of Marvin Bagley. I'm going to bring this up 10 times. I can't believe that they've made so many good moves. Marvin Bagley?
It's a horrendous contract.
3 years, $37 million, fully guaranteed for a guy who's done nothing? Anyway.
Most people only know who Marvin Bagley is because he was picked before Luka.
Yeah, he's not Luka. That's his legacy, is being not Luka and hurt and bad. His dad hates the Kings. Will probably soon hate the Pistons. When you can pay that guy.
You can't blame him for hating the Kings.
No, although I love the Kings summer. We don't really have time to get into it here. I love everything they've done.
Keegan Murray.
He looks great.
He does.
Wow. Shout out to the Kings. Anyway, Bobby Portis, 4 years, $49 million. Just ecstatic about this contract. I think it's going to age really well. I think, Adam got way too soon it could be tradable. They're not trading Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis is going to be a Buck for a long time unless this Katti thing takes a crazy turn. I just think it's a great contract. It's great to bring Bobby back and really, in a lot of ways, undo the wrong that happened last year with PJ Tucker. And I think this was the vision all along with having to let PJ go, right? Was, we're going to prioritize the younger player. But if you lose Bobby as well, then you really just lost both for just about nothing. I mean, you got another year of Bobby, but it's not the same. This had to happen. And I think now you look at this Bucks team, let's get that Pat extension done. Let's figure out a Chris Middleton extension. The core is locked up. I mean, they're going to be around for at least 2 more years. Again, pending more years for Pat, but we don't think he's leaving. So they have pretty much the whole team locked up and ready to go, plus some new guys. It's pretty exciting to see Bobby Portis staying in Milwaukee.
For sure. You got to keep Bobby. There's no other option here unless you want everyone to gather outside Fiserv and just be like, why? That's something that the fans will not forgive. But also in terms of a basketball sense, you can't lose Bobby for nothing. He has been a key contributor the last 2 years. He was a key contributor to winning the freaking NBA title. He was thrust into a larger role last year and did very well into it. He is overqualified for the role that he currently signed a new deal for. He is very overqualified for that role, but he wants to stay. He wants to play for the Bucks. He wants to play with Giannis, Chris, Drew, Pat, list goes on, and be a title contender. It's just, you have to get this done. Both sides wanted to get this done. Everyone's happy. The fans are happy. Milwaukee's happy. The Bucks are happy. Bobby Portis is happy. And when everyone's happy, it's good. That's a solid quote for me.
You're all over the analysis. No, but I agree. I just think it was a no-brainer, but we still had to have the concerns. And I will, for all the folks who have been upset about some of the things we've said, let's keep it a stack as we always do. Shout out to the Bucks, front office ownership. They spent. I mean, this was, the years for Ingles don't really affect this year. It's still the most they could have offered him now. They spent as much as they could so far. I mean, right now, their roster is over full, I think, right? I think they're at 15, I believe, with Wara still restricted free agent. And we have Papagiannis rumors we'll get to in a little bit here. But it's they might end up with 15. I would still expect them to find a way back down to 14. We can talk about resolving that after we get done with these free agents, these last couple. But they did indeed do the thing they had to do, I think. But they did it. So congrats to the Bucks for not having us protest outside of Fiserv Forum. because they went and kept Bobby Portis. Yeah, they're at 15 with Tucker and Luka Vildoza still counting.
Rajon Tucker.
Yeah, Rajon Tucker. Yeah.
Do you think they learned, or do you think they felt bad about the PJ heat they got all year long?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that had to be a factor.
I think so. I do think, I still also think, and I said this right away, and I think it didn't age that well. Usually whenever you try to justify a cost-saving thing, it doesn't age well. But, they picked Bobby over PJ. And, I think maybe this past year, you could make a case. I don't know if it's a strong case that they would have been better with PJ over Bobby. I think they certainly would have been better with both, but that just didn't happen. And I think you probably picked the right one. You picked the one that's Giannis's age. And I do think an underrated, I see these, Otto Porter, these other guys, they still need a 4. There's no more minutes for another 4. What they need is Bobby Portis and Giannis to really figure it out as a 4 or 5 pairing. And that's going to be one of the things I watch most this season. Because now, and we talked about this before free agency, now that is your small lineup. Your small lineup is Bobby Portis and Giannis. Those are the guys you invested in, obviously Giannis and now Bobby. They are going to need to just figure it out. And I think Bobby's improvement on defense is promising there. I think I want to see those two and, any combo of wings and guards. I want to see the net ratings for those lineups be awesome this year because I do think it's going to be really important going forward. And I trust in them to figure it out. I like the bet. It's more offensive-minded than we're used to with that 4 or 5 spot. But I like betting on Bobby. I like betting on Giannis more than anyone in the world, including myself or anyone I've ever met. But I like betting on Bobby too.
For sure. It's just you're trusting the guys you've had in your system, which is it's better than trusting other people outside your system.
Yeah, especially when you're already able to turn around and say, "Hey, how about you're here for the next 4 years now?" That's exactly. A powerful thing to have a contributor come in for basically nothing. It's the same as Brook Lopez, really. But it says a lot that the Bucks have been able to do this with now Bobby, Brook Lopez, soon to be Pat Connaughton probably. It's not easy, as the Warriors are going to find out probably with this Dante contract, and they found out with Gary Payton, and they found out with Otto Porter. It's not easy to bring these guys in and convince them to chill for a bit.
Disrespect Nemanja Bjelica.
And Belly went overseas, which I think was a smart move for him, a boss move. It's just hard, though, even if you're contending, even if you're winning, to bring in guys and have them want to stay, even if it sacrifices their own earnings. Let's talk about Wes, which I think will be a pretty quick convo. This just made so much sense, and he wanted to stay. The Bucks should obviously want him. He was so good. As we've said every time, we hope they need to rely on him a little bit less this year, but why would you not want, from the Beauchamp mentoring side and from a very playable, useful wing defender side, why would you not want this guy back if he wants to come back for vet min?
You have to. He's proven even at his age, he is an impact defender. He is one of the best wing defenders that exist in the NBA. It's just that if that's all you're asking him to do, it's perfect. It's perfect. You can minimize his role if he gets if it gets too difficult for him. But you can also throw him out there and be like, hey, make this guy's life a living hell for the moments that you're on the court. And he will go out there and do that. For a defensive-minded team like Milwaukee, for a defensive-minded coaching staff like Bud's coaching staff, Wes Matthews is a perfect fit. I don't think we've seen a better in-season free agent acquisition than Wes Matthews in recent history. No shot, right? He was starting for them in the playoffs.
Outside of Brook Lopez, I'm not sure how many guys they've signed out of free agency and kept, period, who have been better than Wes was last year.
It's a very small list.
Yeah, they just haven't done it that often and have it work. But and also, when we talk about defense first.
Bobby.
Yeah, it's a good call. We talk about how he's a defensive first player. He shot 40% from 3 in the playoffs last year. George Hill.
That's a bonus.
Yeah. George Hill and Jevon Carter, who sadly didn't play enough. We'll talk about Jevon. And Chris, who played 2 whole games. The only players who were better 3-point shooters. 6 points a game is more than I would have expected from Wes. And he didn't make almost any of his 2s. But he was there when they needed him. I still think he's one of those guys you feel good about relying on to play. Even if he's not closing big games anymore, you feel good about him playing in big games on the Bucks. So getting to bring this guy back for vet min, it feels like highway robbery. Like, this is the kind of player who I think should have been a biannual guy or even a TPMLE guy around the league. If you look at some of the other players, I'd rather have Wes Matthews even for 3 years than JaVale McGee. That's just like, give me any vet min set. Is Biz still out there? Give me Bismack Biyombo.
Biz went back to Phoenix.
Oh, did he go back? Okay. I feel like so many things happened, I can't keep track, but thank you for catching that. But give me Papagiannis for vet min and Wes Matthews. I don't really want Wes Matthews on full $20 million contract, but getting him on whatever 2.9 just feels like a ridiculous
It feels
steal.
wrong.
Yeah.
It feels wrong. But this is the guy who wants to be a Buck. Like, the story coming out of last season was that he wasn't going to sign with anyone else but the Milwaukee Bucks.
How cool is this? We've never had this
cool.
before in the last couple of years.
Convince a guy like Otto or Thad. Sorry.
I know.
You can do it.
Wait till Beauchamp is slinging crazy passes out of the pick and roll and he goes, that was Joey Jingles.
Oh my goodness. If that happens, I take back everything I said. If that happens.
I need it now. Elite teammate work from Beauchamp to take some heat off Joe Ingles. He needs to do that now.
Yeah. And by the way, again, I will stress this. I want to be wrong. I was pitching after we finished the podcast with me, Adam, and Jordan, like, hey, if this Joe Ingles contract is incredible, we should do some content where it's just roasting me. But
yeah,
like, I'm down.
I'm always down for that. Yeah, you know me. You know I'm down to roast you at any point.
No, I'm down for sure. But the last free agent signing, or who was the third?
Reported signing, yeah.
Yeah. Jevon Carter.
So excited.
Back on a 2-year deal with a player option in year 2 on a minimum, which is a fairly standard contract for someone who's on a minimum. But it's also, as Adam mentioned, a guy who's been bouncing around the league, and he gets to pick where he wants to play next season.
Yeah, and he gets to basically guarantee he's going to have at least a 6-season NBA career, which is pretty damn good considering how much he's bounced around. It's hard to stick in the league, and it's a testament to Eurostep guest Jevon Carter that he was able to, stick around. And even, I think it really says a lot about his character, which he really seemed like this kind of guy before we talked to him, the brief, 30 minutes we got to talk to him or whatever. But think about, this is the situation that made Wes leave 2 years ago. And I refused to hold it against Wes. I thought it made a lot of sense. You have someone else playing over you in big moments when you are the better option. That's a frustrating feeling. And, I think Wes probably had more options than Jevon did. Who knows, though? But just for whatever reason, despite how good he was, it just feels like the league is still mostly asleep on Jevon Carter. And I do think, Bobby, I think, is so much more established. I think he could become really important if he does make an elite 4-5 pairing with Giannis. That is a huge thing. I do think Jevon Carter has maybe more room to grow in the Bucks rotation than anybody heading into the season. If he continues to shoot, and not 56% or whatever, but if he continues to be a knockdown shooter, plus provide the on-ball defense he provides, I do think, how much of that goes into Ingles signing as well in terms of they don't have a true backup point guard pending George Hill health, whatever. We'll talk about George too. But if we can get another playmaker at the 3, then it's a lot easier to fit Jevon into this rotation, right? Like, I wonder if that has anything to do with it. I mean, he can handle the ball a little bit, but not a true backup point guard. I think his fit is odd, but the results were clear. He helped the Bucks a lot when he played last season. The amount of defenders on this team right now is just insane. If you project, even if you just think Beauchamp is going to be like lowercase g good to start, like they have a lot of guys who can defend the perimeter, and Brook Lopez and Giannis to defend the 5. It's really a stacked defensive team, which we know Bud loves, but really excited to see Jevon. I really do think if they get this rotation just right, he could end up, his stock could rise a lot over the course of this contract, which may only be 1 year. He just feels like a perfect off-ball point guard to play with the big 3.
Yeah, he should be characterized as like a 2, realistically.
Tiny 2.
Yeah, a tiny 2. But he plays bigger than he is at the defensive end for sure. But yeah, just stacked defenders. He definitely had, like, it's all going to come down to what happens with George Hill. But even with George Hill, let's say he stays, let's say nothing changes. I mean, knowing Bud, anything's possible. But I think Jevon might move ahead of him in the rotation. For sure.
I think he certainly is poised to. And I do think we know Bud is involved with these decisions, rightfully so. I mean, he's the one playing the guys. If Bud and Horst were diametrically opposed, it'd be really bad for the Bucks, right? It wouldn't make any sense. Like from Beauchamp to everything, we know Bud is involved. I do think this says to some level, I would assume at least, you give a guy a player. It's a standard contract. It's a big deal to give a vet min guy the player option. It shows some more commitment from the Bucks side. You would think as part of that, as giving the guy the second year, there would be some conversation of like, you showed some things and like you're going to have some chances. I would at least hope. It's a stacked team. I think Jevon Carter has earned the right to play again.
And for sure. And I think he just fits in with the guys.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that he was over there in Greece with Wara and Pat for the movie was awesome.
And they're just working out together over there too.
Yeah. I love everything about like Bucks chemistry, Bucks culture. It just rules, man. Like,
he also looks jacked.
Yeah. Bulldog.
Awesome. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Trying to dribble against that guy.
This has to be the best fit up and down the roster they've ever had, right?
I think so.
Like, who on this 15-man is like, oh, I'm not sure. I guess Vildoza, who we just don't know that much about. Like, we don't know if Vildoza lives in the gym because we haven't seen him much.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise,
he's been living in the gym in Milwaukee. He's been at the practice.
That's true. That's the only guy you could even question. If you look up and down, I mean, Drew, Jevon, George Hill, Vildoza, Grayson Allen. Yeah, okay.
We haven't seen a lot of Grayson.
Yeah, we haven't seen much. Oh, but he did get his finger fixed.
Oh, yes.
Worth noting, like, I'm more okay giving him another season to show something after knowing his offhand, he did have a finger bone issue that had to be, like, surgically fixed. It means something.
Yes, it does, for sure. And I've been saying, hey, year 2 Grayson is going to be way better than year 1 in Milwaukee.
Although I think, if the faster Beauchamp does develop, the faster I think we will see him in a trade, just because very tradable contract. And, again, I don't want to get too hyped about the 24th overall pick, but that's just how it's shaping up to me. But Joe Ingles, Ray-John Tucker, who's been grinding with the herd and unfortunately may not end up coming back because the roster is getting pretty full, but we'll see. Giannis, Bobby Portis, Chris Middleton, Pat Connaughton, Marjon Beauchamp, Thanasis, Brooke Lopez. Like, they've really like Bucksified the hell out of this group.
Oh yeah, for sure. You don't want to face this team.
No, I'm so excited to watch them this season.
For sure.
Let's talk about just the roster and George Hill before we get to this rumor, which we shouldn't spend too much time on. I do think a trade is coming at some point, probably a smaller one. But could they just release the two? I really hope they don't cut either Vildoza or Tucker. I think Tucker is much more likely. They could just release those guys, even if they want to sign their backup center, and then sit at 14. But does it almost feel a little too stuffed for you?
A little bit, right? It feels like everyone's going to be vying for some rotation minutes, right?
Yeah, I mean, you look at Holiday, Carter, Hill, and then Vildoza. I think maybe Vildoza you're more skeptical of. The first 3, I think, are all rotation level guys, at least Hill when healthy. And then Grayson Allen, Wes Matthews. Again, you have some time here. Maybe the trade comes later. But once Ingles is healthy, then you also have Chris, Pat Connaughton, Beauchamp, Giannis, Portis, Lopez. That's a lot of guys. Especially, I think the 4-5 is okay. You add a backup center who plays sometimes. That's solid. That's not too many guys. But the 1 through 3, like, again, if Beauchamp is ready, that's way too many guys.
It is. It really is. You're going to have to make there's going to have to be some sort of consolidation move. Likely involving Allen and Hill.
Yeah.
There just has to be. Otherwise, there's too many guys. So.
I mean, if Hill goes with a second at this point, it'll be sad because we love George Hill, but I think it would make a lot of sense for this team.
I think so, too.
But again, maybe it comes later.
Like OKC?
Yeah, anyone who wants to waive him and doesn't care about their tax bill, realistically. But again, it might come later, though. I do wonder maybe they'll hold for now with Ingles' health.
Yeah, I think a move comes probably near the trade deadline.
Yeah.
That's what I've said all year, but the Ingles signing just makes it even more apparent.
Yeah, I mean, do you trade Hill mid-season to go back down to 14, or even if maybe you sign someone later, you can back up to 14 if you cut anyone? like that helps a lot with your tax bill. I think you still owe him what you've paid him so far, but it gets him, a lot of that money off the books, frees up a roster spot, everything else, which I think if that's your tax saving move, I'm pretty okay with that, because also it makes sure that he's not playing over Jevon Carter or maybe even Luka Vildoza. I hope he's around next year, man. I'm excited about Luka Vildoza.
It's fun. He seems fun. I like flashy passers. I like that kind of guy.
If he's at Summer League and Beauchamp is there, I'll watch Summer League.
Oh my goodness!
I do declare.
If that happens, I'll be upset that I'm missing the first one.
That's going to be their most fun Summer League team ever.
Yeah,
especially if you bring Tuck too. I don't think
he plays Summer League. Vildoza.
So there's been like a random website has like a Bucks Summer League partial roster, and he's on it. I don't know though.
I doubt it, but
I hope so. I hope so. I want to see AJ Green too. The two-way. We should say they signed a two-way. He basically seems like a smaller Duncan Robinson. Like all he does is shoot, but the NBA path is going to be tough unless he develops defensively. But it'll be fun to watch at Oshkosh. Apparently, he would bomb half quarters in high school.
Oh wow!
Yeah, like that kind of like a shooter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That'll be fun to watch for sure.
Yeah, I looked it up a little bit, and I did a radio hit with Elliot. I think it's Clow. Sorry if I got that wrong, Elliot. But he was telling me more about him because he was covering him in that area of Iowa. I believe it was University of Northern Iowa is where AJ Green went. And basically he was like a D1 level prospect who went there because there was like a family connection. I don't know if it was a dad or uncle or what. So basically he was the best player in conference when he was healthy. So it's like really hard to compare him to other guys. There's some defensive limitations. But he's like a 6'4" guy. He's just an absolute flamethrower. So it'll be fun to see him at least on the herd and in Summer League too. Again, if Luka plays, man, Luka, AJ Green, Beauchamp, Mamu, Rajon Tucker, give me that 5 in Summer League, dude. I need that.
That team's winning the title in Summer League.
Oh, that would be so fun.
Coming for Rashad Vaughn's all-time leading scorer.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not, because Shotty had like 6 years to do it.
That is fair. Is 6 years even wrong? I think he played like 4 years every year.
I think he did 3 or 4. I don't think he did 6, although there's still time. I don't know where he's at. Now. He's overseas somewhere.
I think he's in, I don't even know where he is.
He's averaging like 50 in a league that is not that impressive. I mean, if we average 10 in that league, we'd be pretty excited, but we're not that excited. Russia. Yeah, he might be. Stay safe, Shotty.
No, he plays in Greece.
Oh. He's coming back. He knows how to get back.
25.
The Bucks bring back one Greek guy every year. He's getting in the queue.
How on earth is he only 25 years old?
Speaking of shockingly young players playing in Greece who were drafted in the late lottery. Actually, nice. Was Shotty? Shotty was outside of lottery, wasn't he?
No, he was 15, I think.
Drafted in the teens.
Or 17.
Drafted in the teens and then went to Greece. Georgios Papagiannis. Reported the Bucks have a lot of interest in buying him out of his contract over in Greece in the EuroLeague. You seem more down on it than I do. I just think, he's a big guy. He's 7'3". He's, I think, the leading shot blocker and rebounder. Let me pull up Eugene's scouting report. Eugene in the Discord really came through. Eurostep assistant producer. But I don't know. I think it's fine. I wanted a backup big guy. If this is all we get, then I'll take it.
I mean, yeah, sure. It's a low risk. I mean, I don't really care about it.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's like, because at the end of the day, it's not going to matter too much. Like, sure, if he develops into like a solid center, sure. But then what do you do with Mamu? Like, I don't know. I'm just like, if it's fine as a backup big, sure. Why not? Because we know the Bucks and their backup bigs, they're not going to play at all when it matters. So
that's a lot of why I'm like, sure, yeah, why not? That's
fair. Give it a shot.
Yeah,
sure.
It's insanely low risk. If he does pan out, that's awesome. But you expect him to not, and then you have a true big guy who can like do big guy stuff, which is what they really lacked parts of last season. So here's Eugene's bullet points: All EuroLeague second team. And he played for a team that didn't even make the playoffs. Eugene notes there. Rebounds leader in the EuroLeague at 8.2. Huge lob threat. Huge in general. Decent mid-ranger. Decent rim protector. 1.7 blocks per game. And he's a good age. I believe he's also, I don't think he's yet 25.
He is.
Oh, he turned 25 yesterday. Happy birthday, Georgios Papagiannis.
Yes.
Also, we get a bunch of.
We know he's listening.
Of course.
Would you rather fight Georgios or Admiral? I'm kidding.
I think Admiral. Georgios could squish me.
For sure. But he also, like, yeah, you mentioned top rebounder, top blocks leader. Like, yeah, sure. Like you said, a guy who can do big guy stuff. That'd be nice.
Exactly.
Is
and
he
also
take away the shine like Serge Ibaka did in garbage time from Luka and Thanasis? Probably not.
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't.
Is Serge done?
I think so. It's full-time content now. He's living the dream. Full-time content.
Have you watched his like Instagram stories and stuff? He's living it.
I know. Yeah, I don't feel bad. I think he might have more fun, honestly.
I think he will.
He's set for life, and he's going to keep making money. So shout out to Serge Ibaka, great culture guy, great scarf guy. I think the thing with Papagiannis too, and people will roll their eyes, Giannis and him are at least somewhat close. There's a story that Eric Name reshared. Basically, like Giannis and him were talking about him dunking on, was it Caboclo?
Yeah.
Or someone, whoever it was, I'm going to go dunk on him. Like, he chats with Papagiannis. Giannis does. And there are people who roll their eyes, whatever. I would give Giannis 5 roster spots if he wanted to make all the decisions. I don't care. Quite honestly, it doesn't matter to me. The fact that he only takes 2 at any given year for guys he knows, including Thanasis from Greece, I think is charitable on his part. It's such a small price to pay. And if the Bucks are going to become Team Greece low-key, that works for me. Imagine if there is like a Luka Doncic level guy who comes up in Greece. He only wants to play for the Bucks. That's the tinfoil hat insane version to take this.
True.
But it's let's be Team Greece. We already got one Finals MVP from it. Like, take up a roster spot. I don't care.
Yeah. It's fine. As long as it's Nick Kalathis inbound,
Honestly, would be probably better than George Hill.
No, I don't know.
Maybe
I've watched too much Team Greece of Kalathis just pounding the ball into the ground.
And Giannis probably has too, and that's probably why we're not going to get Nick Kalathis anytime soon.
Sorry, Nick Kalathis, if you're listening.
Yeah, the Greek podcast right here.
I think he's at the top of my list. Him, then Schofield, then Papagiannis.
I'm glad that we've basically agreed that we're really excited about the guys the Bucks brought back, and the new guys were like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Have some fun. See what happens.
You look around, though, and outside of, the Sixers who opened up room at the Harden thing to get PJ, and, the Sixers...
Celtics got
we'll talk about the Celtics. The Sixers' big moves, really are not that... I mean, they're good. I just don't think... Daniel House on the biannual was a little underwhelming to me, and I think it really speaks to...
That's a move.
It really speaks to this class, though. It's there wasn't guys out there.
That's fair. It's just, I don't know. I don't know if the Sixers got worlds better.
No, I don't think they did. I think PJ's fine. I don't think he's an amazing fit there.
I can't believe PJ wanted to play with Harden again.
I know. I think he just he's on a mission to make the most dogs possible.
Yeah. Or he saw, hey, they're giving me $33 million.
Yeah, I think that.
I'm going to be making $11 million when I'm 40 years old. Yeah, sure, I'll take it.
Yeah, exactly. Boston getting Brogdon and Gallo without really giving up anything is certainly a little scary.
I hate that Brad Stevens is good at this.
I know.
I hate it.
I mean, there's a lot of downside for them. Well, there's not much downside because they didn't give up much, but obviously big injury concerns with those guys. But if they're all healthy, they're going to be probably a little bit better.
I think they definitely are better. They have a true ball handler, a true guy who can run an offense.
Yeah, if Jalen makes it to the next playoffs without asking out because they don't appreciate him.
That's fair, which is honestly a little valid.
Have you seen the tweets?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, we like that.
He was their best player in the finals.
I'd probably the playoffs in general.
I think so.
Yeah.
Tough scene. Tough scene for Boston.
You know who would appreciate you, Jalen? We have salary building blocks now.
That's true. That's true. But you know who they should go after?
Kevin Wayne Durant.
Kevin Wayne Durant. This domino has still not fallen. It doesn't look like there's much progress being made anywhere.
Yeah. Well, it seems like the rookie rule thing is screwing up everything for the Nets, right? They can't take back a Rose Rule guy as long as they still have Ben Simmons. So you already have to trade Katti and Kyrie. So basically at this point, they're on an insane Mountain Dew Code Red fueled NBA 2K trade finder binge where they're clicking the whole roster and just what comes back to us. and they're not finding enough good because you can't really mess this up because they don't have any of their own picks. Houston has all of their picks essentially. So you kind of have to stay good. There's no upside to you for tanking. I mean, obviously you're going to want some draft capital. You're not going to be a contender when you lose Katti and Kyrie in the same set of moves. But they have to get this really right, and there's not that much of a rush for them. It's almost nice to be like the Bucks or a team like the Celtics, where you're like, the Celtics I guess might be in play, but you're just like, we're going to make our moves. We're not going to wait for this. We know we're not going to be in it. I guess it's just the Bucks. The Celtics may actually be in it, but it's kind of it's the future of the league, right?
I think so. It's just this is a hard one for me to grasp because we've never seen anything like it ever in league history.
I mean, the last July 4 KD ruined, he was like a free agent. It wasn't getting out with 4 years left.
Exactly. Like I was said on the last episode, like this is the most impactful trade request since Kareem.
Probably.
There's definitely nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. It probably is. I mean, you could argue maybe Anthony Davis.
He's not that caliber player. He's not going to immediately.
He's not, but he's a lot younger.
He is a lot younger, but also like he does not make a contender on his own.
Fair.
Like if you put let's say the Raptors trade for AD, they're not a contender.
No, that's fair.
If they trade for KD, they're a contender.
I mean,
he's like KD is one of the greatest players of all time. He might be the most skilled offensive player to ever touch a basketball.
At one point, I think he was.
He's still.
I think we gloss over the fact that his ass got swept out of the playoffs and he looked terrible.
That's fair.
I think he's still very good. Don't get me wrong.
I think he's still like at least second team All NBA.
Yeah, for sure. It's still like a little bit.
That's still top 10 in the league.
Listen, would I trade for him if I could? Yes. At the same time,
trade everything.
At the same time, the Nets did that, and look where the Nets are.
Yeah, but is that more his fault or is that more Kyrie's fault?
He's the one doing this.
That's fair.
They bowed down until their faces were ostrich deep in the sand to Kevin Durant, and everything he wanted, they did until this last year when they could not stand Kyrie Irving anymore, which I wouldn't have lasted that long.
Things he did just pandering to Kyrie.
Yes, that's the problem.
So the problem realistically is Kyrie.
Yeah, but Kevin Durant's the one leaving because all they did was bring him back at $40 million or whatever. They wouldn't give him a max deal after all the stuff. I mean, the two are linked. You can't just blame Kyrie or Kyrie. KD is the one who wants to leave. Name. Yeah, it is. Katti. But it's like KD is doing this too. He's the one right now.
That's fair. That's fair. You're not saying anything wrong.
The fact that he is willing to give up on this team that did everything for him because they won't give Kyrie $200 million, a guy who never shows up and wasn't all that good when he did show up in latter parts this year. Like, I just think it's ridiculous that he's really not catching that much heat for this. Like, this is I would, again, you kind of just have to trade for him probably anyway. But if you give him your whole franchise, there's no guarantee that it goes better than this.
No, there really isn't. And realistically, I don't know. That's what makes this kind of so tough.
I still want him to go out west because I just don't want him to be on a loaded East team for the next 2 years or whatever. And he'll probably be good for longer than that, but I don't know if he'll be apex good for that much longer. But this is obviously a Bucks team that's set up to win now too. And I think you're better off send KD out west, send Kyrie out west, and then it's like, okay, we only have to play one of KD team, Nuggets, Warriors, Lakers with Kyrie I think would be pretty good if they don't mess it up, which it sounds like they're going to. Clippers, Grizzlies, Mavericks. I mean, they have Luka. It seems like they're not doing that much else, so maybe we can cross them off. But it seems like there's going to be a lot of loaded teams out west, especially if that's where KD goes. And then I think you're happy with that if you're the Bucks. You look at, the Celtics are the main team, like the Heat and the Sixers and the Raptors are probably good. But, at least it's not like a KD super team right in your conference.
For sure. You want to get the best players out of your conference.
Yeah.
I think that's just fair. And regardless of whatever we think about Kevin Durant and his trade request, you don't want to face that guy in the playoffs.
No, I'm not saying he's bad or anything now. I just think, I don't know if I'm the Raptors, do I want to give up Siakam and Scotty Barnes and all my picks and sign over my whole franchise to Kevin Durant after what just happened?
It's one of the two, right?
I don't know.
Give up one of them.
I don't know.
I think you'd have to, right?
It depends. The Nets are playing hardball here, it seems like.
I mean, are they just going to keep KD on their roster?
I would rather do that than take a bad offer. I don't think the value is going down.
It's fair.
I mean, like the thing about Ayton, Bridges, and 3 firsts. Why? Why am I taking that back for Kevin Durant?
I don't know.
The Jazz just got 4 firsts for Rudy Gobert.
Which is ridiculous.
And some players.
Ridiculous. That is a ridiculous.
It's insane. Yeah, I mean they're just done doing stuff now. They have no picks and they'll have no money in like forever. They better be good these next 2 years.
Two of the 3 centers ever to be paid $200 million contracts.
Yeah,
the rules do.
They have $400 million in center money on the books right now or more.
Yeah.
Rudy Gobert making $50 million at age 30-some in a couple of years. Like
player option. He might opt out. You never know.
That's a good one, Rohan.
He might opt out.
That's
sign
a good
minimum with the Bucks.
How concerned would you be if the Heat get Mitchell?
Yeah, I'd be a bit concerned.
I wouldn't like it. Yeah.
I would not like that at all from a Bucks perspective, especially like another guy who can create for himself.
And who's young too.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Yeah, I think that extends their window quite a bit. Like, I'd almost rather them, I think, have to give up Bam and Harrow and a bunch of stuff to get KD than to give up, like, Harrow.
They can't do unless there's, like, 4 other teams involved.
Yeah, which, I just heard about a 6-person trade, whatever.
Yeah, it's BS. Yeah, have fun. Because you definitely know that.
Yeah. But I'd almost rather them give up, like, a ton to get KD and have, like, a pretty thin team that's good, but, like, vulnerable, I think, to a lot of things, like their team last year.
KD and Heat culture would be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if him and Riley would get along after all this stuff that's happened in Brooklyn, quite honestly. But I'd almost rather that than like Harrow and whatever else. And they bring in Mitchell, and they have like Mitchell, Lowry, Bam, Butler, a lot of picks still. Maybe not that many picks, but that's like Mitchell and Bam is a really good young core for them to move to.
That is a very, very good team, especially with Jimmy and Kyle as your bridge.
Yeah.
Not that Kyle's doing anything, but
if he gets right, he might. I think he's probably better than he looked, but maybe not.
Yeah, we've seen how hamstring injuries have sort of plagued guys. Like, look at James Harden.
Yeah, who's graciously only going to take like $100 million over 3 years or something now.
Wild.
What a league.
It's very funny to me that James Harden is the guy who needs to finalize his extension over the next weekend in the Hamptons when everyone else had the deals done like two months ago. It'd
be great if he just didn't.
It'd be so funny.
Actually, I'm going to sign a vet minute with the Bucks.
Would you want that?
Yes, I would. Yeah. I would. If it goes really bad, you just cut him, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, you just send him home. You don't cut him. You're like, yeah, nobody else gets you either.
Yeah, just have fun. We're banishing you to the shadow realm.
James Harden, 5th starter. Yeah, you could sign me up for that.
Drew Holiday, James Harden. Yeah.
Yeah, that's solid.
I'll take it. I'd have to delete a lot of tweets.
I just wouldn't.
That's fair.
Spite fuels him. I think it'd be good for him if we kept our tweets up.
That's fair.
Last note on the KD Kyrie stuff. I think, for Bucks wise, optimal path, send both to the West.
Yes.
Make the West a bloodbath. But I will say, I would prefer West is good, but not like Warriors, not Clippers.
Yeah, you have to send them to different teams.
No, and like Kyrie, whatever. Don't send KD to a loaded team. Phoenix, I'm honestly kind of okay with. I don't think they're head and shoulders above the rest of the West if they give up a bunch for Phoenix or for KD. But if he goes to the Warriors for Wiggins and all the young guys, I don't want that again.
Yeah, same.
I don't want him on Boston either. Jalen and a bunch of picks, that's pretty terrifying too.
Yeah. I don't want that at all. Just not Boston, not Golden State.
Not with another first-team All-NBA guy is pretty much, I think, the most we can ask for.
And also, can we talk about how funny it is that after KD was hated for like joining the Warriors, his trade requests are to teams that were leading that were the 1 seeds in each conference.
Yeah, of course it is. That's KD.
It's so funny.
He won a total of 1 playoff series in the last 4 years when he wasn't on somebody else's team. 3 years. Well, he didn't play one of them, right?
Yeah.
He's been a net for 4 years now, I think. Or no.
Yeah.
No. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, he's been a net for 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years. Yeah.
Which is just, it's so funny. Like, I love KD. I will defend KD forever, but it's just so funny. 7
playoff game wins in 3 years, and they're done.
Yikes.
Yeah. I mean.
How is it just, is Brooklyn just cursed?
It seems like it.
It's because they didn't want to be the Swamp Dragons.
It is. If they change to the Swamp Dragons, KD reverses a decision tomorrow. You heard it here first.
They win the title if they're the Swamp Dragons.
Never change, Nets.
Never change. Do we have anything else we need to cover here, Ty?
I think that's about it.
Okay. Let's see here. But the thing is, Ty, we're not actually done.
No, we're not.
No.
I was going to see if you remembered.
It is choose your fighter time. And
wait, real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen this Genie Bus tweet?
No, what is it?
Oh, man, it's from last night, 1 a.m., which is not 1 a.m. LA time, in fairness.
It's 11, but still, she's old.
Yeah. I miss KB.
Oh, no.
He would understand and explain everything that I'm not allowed to. Honestly, he was the greatest Laker ever. He understood team over self, meaning your rewards would come if you valued team goals over your own, then everything would fall into place. All can reply. The beautiful irony of LeBron tweeting LeBron himself is just wonderful.
What?
Like, it seems like they had the ability to just, like, go get Kyrie Irving for their terrible platter, and they're just not going to do it. And personally, I think that's beautiful.
It's so funny. It's so funny.
They don't want to pay tax on Joe Harris and give up their 2064 first-round pick to add Kyrie for the price of Russell Westbrook and THT on bad contracts.
It's so funny. The Lakers always getting in their own way is so funny to me.
It's great. Okay, carry on. I needed to read that out on air.
Stupid tweet.
That's an Aisha Curry level tweet right there.
That is ridiculous.
All can reply is great. Like, she dates Phil Jackson, right?
Yeah.
You can tell by the tweet.
That, didn't they?
You can tell they were compatible at one point by this tweet.
Yeah.
That is a very Phil Jackson-ass tweet.
That is, yeah. Oh my goodness. That's throwing me off.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, gather yourself, choose your fighter. Let's get it.
Choose your fighter though. So even though it is a holiday that we don't really subscribe to, because whatever, the 4th of July is today as we are recording this. One of the things that comes with the 4th of July is fireworks. We talked a little bit beforehand about this before we started recording, but this one's an easy one. Like, are you pro fireworks or are you anti fireworks?
Wow, this is a new kind of choose your fighter.
Yeah. Are you choosing fireworks or are you choosing to not fireworks?
I just saw a tweet somebody put in a Discord that I just feel like it's perfect for this. I need to read it right now. This is from Zach Toscani. There's one 4th of July that sticks out to me, 1997. That's the year my stepdad pulled me aside from the fireworks show to reveal he bought a grenade. He tossed it off a nearby cliff and just he and I watched it explode. I started calling him Dad after that. The man earned it. I'm pro fireworks now after I read that tweet. Pro fireworks if there's a grenade.
What? Can you just buy grenades?
I mean, I don't think you're supposed to. Like,
if you can, that's very upsetting.
I think there's ways you can get one. I mean, fireworks are kind of just grenades, in a sense.
Not really.
I put off a mortar before, like a mortar firework, not like a military mortar. It sounds like a grenade.
Sure.
I'll say lightly pro.
Lightly pro.
I like
it's
but
fun
don't
to set
love.
them off.
Yeah, it is. It's fun to be the one who sets off a firework. Yeah, I agree with that.
It really is.
Even the little poppers. The little poppers.
As long as you're not Jason Pierre-Paul.
Yeah, seriously. Be careful with fireworks, people.
Yeah. Like, don't injure yourself.
If you're drunk, the only fireworks you can have.
Tear? Do you know what video I'm talking about?
What is it?
Like, what you doing, Tear? Like,
I think I've seen it, but I barely remember. If you're drunk, the only fireworks you should get are those little balls you throw and they pop. That's all you can be trusted with. Keep that in mind.
Yes,
Give them, let kids light them off instead. That's safer.
Yeah.
That's not true. That's not good advice. Yeah, no.
No. Just you have to be an adult and you have to be in the right state of mind.
Yeah, I think your reward for being a designated driver should be getting to be the fireworks person.
Oh, that's true.
New rule just dropped.
Yeah, I think that is a solid rule that everyone should follow.
Yeah.
But you're pro fireworks, slightly pro.
Yeah.
I'm slightly pro as well. I get the anti though.
Yeah, I feel bad for dogs.
Loud.
Dogs who get scared.
Loud.
It's sad.
Dogs, children.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know, a lot for them.
Yeah.
Plus, like, I don't know, just very loud noises.
You should be able to request like some Bose headphones in June that the government sends you to like, protect the ears of others.
For sure.
I just want Bose headphones. Really is where I'm coming from here. But
so if you want Ty to get Bose headphones, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you keep listening. Make sure
and vote.
Yes, and vote. I don't. If you find someone who runs on that platform, take that into consideration.
They've got my vote.
You've got. Sure. Someone's gonna run just based on that. Can you imagine if we spark up like an actual political candidacy based on this podcast?
Yeah, I'm a single issue voter now. Free Bose headphones in June every year.
It'd be fire.
It'd probably be bad.
A lot of people would get behind it.
I think it'd be bad. I think anytime it's like, oh, imagine if there's another political candidate, I go, that's probably bad.
Yeah.
Just based on the way Wave's hands and all of the others have gone.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Unless Ty, you're running.
No.
It's probably.
I think my tweets kind of just rule me. Oh, actually, maybe I'd win.
You might. It depends on what you're running for.
State Senate in Wisconsin, maybe.
That's tough to win those.
Yeah.
All right,
let's.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Eurostep here on the Eurostep Podcast Network and the Blue Wire Podcast Network. Ty, do we have a review?
It's a good question.
You have it pulled up? I have one pulled up.
Okay. Let it ring. No, let it bang.
Let it bang?
Let it bang.
Is it firework?
Yeah, it's a firework.
This is from M. Sowden, Sowden. 5 stars, as always. For the culture. Best Bucks content. Funny and informative. Straight to the point. Perfect. Thank you for that review. Make sure you all leave a 5-star rating and review on your podcast platform of choice. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube. Check out gspn.info for all the links. Thank you again for that's a very concise review, Todd. Very nice, concise, gets to the point.
Shout out to all the new listeners. I feel like we got a lot of new people doing the Substack forum when we were on playback during free agency and the draft. Like, welcome. We're here.
Welcome.
We're gonna do a lot of Bucks content and some random choose your fighter content. So stay plugged in for all and Brewers at Cruising for a Bruising.
Yeah. That's our Brewers podcast here on the Eurostep Podcast Network. Make sure you check that out. A new episode just dropped as we were recording this.
Big Woody series. I can't wait to listen.
I know.
Woody's back.
He is back. He is all the way back. It's perfect.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, make sure you check that out. Pod Random, and we will talk to you next time.